1/2 point. That's all that separated O.D. Wilson from strongman immortality. The margin between legend and tragedy, between vindication and controversy. This is O.D. Wilson, the Nightmare, the 6 feet 8 inches, 400-pound giant from Florida who dominated powerlifting platforms and strongman stages with equal ferocity. The man who many believe was robbed of the 1990 World's Strongest Man title by event selection that favored television drama over pure strength. His story isn't just about what happened in those final moments in Finland. It's about a gentle giant who became a force of nature, a powerlifting champion who conquered strongman, and a life cut tragically short just as greatness seemed within reach. Winter Haven, Florida, September 12, 1954. In the heart of citrus country, where orange groves stretch to the horizon and the humid air hangs heavy with possibility, Dell Wilson Jr. enters the world. Not simply O.D., that wasn't a nickname. Those were his given names, a Southern tradition that would follow him through a life defined by breaking conventions. The boy who would become known as the Nightmare grows up in working-class Florida, where size is noticed and strength is respected. From an early age, it's clear that O.D. isn't like other children. Not just tall, but imposing. Not just strong, but powerful in ways that seem almost supernatural. His family understands they're raising someone exceptional. The Wilson household operates with the quiet dignity of people who work hard, expect little, and appreciate what they have. O.D.'s parents, Dell Sr. and Bessie May, instill values that will serve their son throughout his brief but impactful life. Humility, determination, and respect for others regardless of their size or station. High school presents unique challenges for a teenager approaching 6 feet 8 inches and carrying muscle mass that dwarfs his teachers. Not awkward or uncoordinated like many extremely tall adolescents, but naturally athletic despite his size. Basketball coaches circle like vultures, seeing potential that could reshape their programs and perhaps open college doors. But O.D.'s interests lie elsewhere. The weight room calls to him with magnetic pull, not the casual lifting that attracts most teenagers, but serious iron work that challenges his extraordinary physical gifts. Even as a high schooler, his lifts approach numbers that would challenge grown men. His personality contradicts his imposing physical presence. Gentle, soft-spoken, almost shy despite commanding attention wherever he goes. The nickname, the Nightmare, which will follow him throughout his career, refers strictly to his impact on competition platforms, not his character. Away from the iron, he's more likely to help elderly neighbors with their groceries than intimidate anyone. College offers opportunities, but traditional academic paths feel constraining to someone whose gifts lie in more physical pursuits. The conventional route, 4 years of study leading to desk work, holds little appeal for someone who can move weight that most people can't even imagine lifting. His introduction to serious powerlifting comes through necessity as much as ambition. Construction work, where his size and strength provide immediate advantages, becomes both livelihood and training ground. The heavy lifting required for manual labor serves as functional preparation for something greater. The local powerlifting scene in Florida during the late 1970s is small but serious. Underground gyms filled with dedicated lifters who understand that strength has its own culture, its own values, its own hierarchy, based purely on what you can move when it matters most. O.D.'s early powerlifting achievements are extraordinary even by elite standards. Numbers that would represent lifetime goals for most lifters become starting points for someone blessed with once-in-a-generation physical gifts. But raw talent alone doesn't explain his rapid rise through powerlifting's ranks. What sets him apart is the combination of genetic gifts and work ethic that defines true champions. While others train hard, O.D. trains harder. While others focus on single lifts, he develops comprehensive strength that translates across all powerlifting movements. His competitive debut showcases both his potential and the learning curve ahead. Massive numbers, but technique still developing. Raw power that intimidates experienced competitors, but platform awareness that comes only through experience. The powerlifting community takes notice immediately. Word spreads through the tight-knit network of serious lifters. There's a giant in Florida who might rewrite the record books. Not hype, but genuine recognition from people who understand what they are witnessing. His progress through Florida's powerlifting hierarchy is rapid but not effortless. Each competition teaches lessons about managing pressure, refining technique, and understanding the mental game that separates successful lifters from those who merely possess strength. Regional competitions become stepping stones to national recognition. His totals climb steadily, approaching and then surpassing marks that seemed unreachable. Not just personal records, but numbers that challenge the sport's understanding of human potential. By the early 1980s, OD has established himself as one of America's premier super heavyweight powerlifters. Multiple national records, consistent victories at major competitions, and totals that place him among the strongest humans in recorded history. The foundation has been laid for something greater. The gentle giant from Winter Haven has become a force in powerlifting. But powerlifting, satisfying as it is, represents only part of his ultimate destiny. The transition from powerlifting to strongman competition isn't natural for every strength athlete. Static lifting success doesn't automatically translate to the varied implements and dynamic movements that define strongman events. But for O.D. Wilson, the move feels inevitable. His powerlifting achievements by the mid-1980s are staggering. A squat approaching 900 pounds, a bench press that challenges world records, a deadlift that redefines what seems humanly possible, numbers that place him among the strongest men who have ever lived. But powerlifting's static nature, while showcasing pure strength, fails to capture the full range of his physical capabilities. OD possesses not just lifting strength, but functional power, the ability to move, carry, and manipulate objects in ways that mirror the challenges his ancestors faced in less mechanized times. His introduction to strongman competition comes through curiosity rather than ambition. Early strongman events in America lack the organization and prestige they would later achieve, but they offer something powerlifting cannot: the opportunity to test strength across multiple disciplines within single competitions. His first strongman appearances reveal both his potential and the adjustments required. Deadlifting heavy objects poses no challenge. His powerlifting background provides enormous advantages. But events requiring endurance, technique, or specialized skills expose areas needing development. The strongman community recognizes his potential immediately. Here's an athlete with the raw materials for dominance: size, strength, and competitive temperament. The learning curve might be steep, but the ceiling appears unlimited. His training evolves to accommodate strongman's diverse demands. Powerlifting's focus on 3 specific movements expands to include carrying, loading, pressing overhead, and pulling implements that mirror strongman competition events. The garage gym approach gives way to more sophisticated preparation. His progress through American strongman competitions is dramatic. Early struggles with technique and conditioning give way to increasingly dominant performances. His combination of powerlifting strength and developing strongman skills creates competitive advantages that few opponents can match. The 1989 season establishes him as a legitimate contender for international recognition. Partnership with Bill Kazmaier in team competitions provides both success and education. Working alongside strongman royalty teaches lessons that individual training cannot provide. Their silver medal finish in the 1989 Pure Strength Team competition validates his place among elite strongmen. More importantly, it demonstrates his ability to perform under pressure alongside the sport's established stars. The 1990 Pure Strength Team victory, again with Kazmaier, provides his first taste of international championship success. Not individual glory, but proof that he belongs at strongman's highest levels. His preparation for the 1990 World's Strongest Man represents the culmination of years of development. No longer a powerlifter dabbling in strongman, but a complete strength athlete capable of challenging anyone in the world. The build-up to Finland involves meticulous preparation across all likely events. His powerlifting background provides enormous advantages in static strength events, while months of specialized training have developed his capacity for strongman's more dynamic challenges. His confidence heading into the competition reflects genuine preparation rather than false bravado. For the first time since beginning his strongman journey, OD enters a major competition believing he can win rather than simply hoping to compete respectably. The stage is set for what should have been his breakthrough moment. the gentle giant from Florida, armed with years of preparation and unmatched strength, ready to claim the title that would validate his transition from powerlifting champion to strongman legend. Joensuu, Finland, 1990. The setting for what remains one of strongman's most controversial competitions. A picturesque city in eastern Finland, known more for its universities and forests than strength sports, becomes the backdrop for a competition that generates debates lasting decades. The field assembled for the 1990 World's Strongest Man includes legendary names: Jan Paul Sigmarsson, seeking his fourth title, established champions looking to reclaim glory, and rising stars hoping to announce their arrival. Among them stands O.D. Wilson, the American giant making his WSM debut with realistic championship aspirations. The contest was held in Joensuu, Finland, and from the opening events it becomes clear that two men have separated themselves from the field. Jan Paul, the charismatic Icelander and three-time champion, brings experience and tactical awareness. O.D. brings raw power that seems almost supernatural. The early events play to O.D.'s strengths perfectly. Static lifting challenges that reward pure strength showcase the powerlifting background that makes him nearly unbeatable in certain disciplines. His deadlifting performance leaves spectators and competitors alike shaking their heads in amazement. Loading events reveal the functional strength he's developed through strongman training. Objects that challenge other competitors move almost effortlessly in his massive hands. The combination of technique and power creates performances that seem to defy physics. Overhead, pressing events provide another showcase for his abilities. The leverage disadvantages that typically plague extremely tall athletes seem irrelevant when offset by his extraordinary strength. Weights that defeat other competitors disappear overhead with surprising ease. As the competition progresses, a clear narrative emerges. O.D. is dominating through pure strength, while Jan Paul relies on experience, technique, and tactical intelligence to remain competitive. Two different approaches to strongman excellence, with victory likely determined by which philosophy the event selection favors. Leading the competition with 5.5 points before the last event, a 200-meter race with a 100-kilogram weight on the back, O.D. enters the final challenge in a commanding position. A lead that should be insurmountable with one event remaining, the culmination of years of preparation seemingly within reach. The final event selection, a 200-meter backload carry requiring both strength and cardiovascular endurance, immediately raises eyebrows among competitors and spectators familiar with strongman traditions. Final events typically emphasize maximum strength, allowing the strongest competitor to claim victory through superior power. The very heavy 400-pound Wilson lacked the endurance and running speed to complete the course quickly. A predictable outcome, given his size and the event's cardiovascular demands. Wilson lacked the endurance and running speed to complete the course and ended up losing by 0.5 point to Jan Paul Sigmarsson in the overall competition. The mathematics are simple but devastating. A 0.5 point margin of defeat after leading by 5.5 points before the final event. The strongest man in the competition loses because the final test emphasizes his greatest weakness rather than his overwhelming strength. The immediate aftermath reveals the controversy's scope. Competitors, officials, and knowledgeable spectators understand what they've witnessed. Not necessarily the best man winning, but the most favorable event selection determining the outcome. Accusations emerge immediately that event selection was influenced by television considerations rather than pure competitive integrity. Jan Paul's charismatic personality and established star power made him attractive to broadcasters and sponsors in ways that O.D.'s quiet demeanor did not match. The strongman community splits between those who accept the result as legitimate, arguing that complete strongmen must possess endurance as well as strength, and those who believe O.D. was robbed of a title he had clearly earned through superior performance across the competition's majority. Wilson was one of the closest, though, winning silver in 1990, only a 0.5 point behind champion Jan Paul Sigmarsson, a result that fails to capture the dominance he displayed throughout the competition or the controversial nature of his defeat. The defeat stings not just because of the narrow margin, but because of the circumstances. Losing to a superior competitor provides lessons and motivation. Losing because of event selection that appears designed to prevent your victory feels entirely different. His response reveals the character that defined his approach to competition. No public complaints, no accusations of bias, no demands for rule changes. Simply a promise to return stronger and prove that 1990 was an aberration rather than a limitation. The aftermath of the 1990 World's Strongest Man creates a narrative arc that should have defined the following years. O.D. Wilson, the gentle giant who was robbed of his rightful victory, returning with vengeance to claim the title that was denied through controversial circumstances. His preparation for the 1991 World's Strongest Man takes on added intensity. Not just training to win, but training to win so decisively that event selection cannot influence the outcome. The goal becomes not just victory, but dominant victory that leaves no room for debate or controversy. The strongman community watches with anticipation as O.D. prepares for his return. The 1990 controversy has elevated his profile within strength sports circles, transforming him from promising newcomer to sympathetic figure seeking redemption. His training footage from this period reveals an athlete operating at a level that seems almost superhuman. Weights that challenged him in previous years now move with casual ease. His strength gains, already extraordinary by normal standards, continue climbing toward numbers that redefine possibility. The 1991 competition represents his opportunity for vindication. Another strong performance, another chance to prove that 1990's result was an anomaly rather than a fair reflection of relative abilities. The stage set for redemption and the championship that many believe he deserved a year earlier. But strongman at the highest level rarely follows expected scripts. Injuries, illness, or simple competitive variance can derail the most careful preparations. The 1991 World's Strongest Man doesn't provide the dominant victory that would have validated his 1990 claims. Another strong showing, another impressive display of raw power, but not the breakthrough performance that would have established him as the sport's new standard bearer. The window for immediate vindication closes, but the opportunity for future success remains open. His post-competition interviews reveal no bitterness or disappointment, only determination to continue improving. The gentle giant's approach to setbacks mirrors his approach to success. Quiet confidence, private preparation, and public grace regardless of circumstances. On October 29, 1991, while being interviewed on a radio program just a few weeks after the 1991 World's Strongest Man competition, Wilson complained of chest pains and went outside for some fresh air. Within moments, he collapsed and died of cardiac arrest. He was just 37 years old. The news shocks the strength sports community. Here was an athlete in his prime, preparing for what many believed would be his breakthrough season, suddenly gone at age 37. The man who many considered the strongest human alive, defeated not by any competitor, but by the cardiovascular system that couldn't support his extraordinary mass. His death transforms the 1990 controversy from current events to historical tragedy. No longer a story about an athlete seeking redemption, but about a career cut short just as greatness seemed within reach. The what-if questions begin immediately and continue decades later. What if the 1990 final event had been a maximum deadlift instead of an endurance challenge? What if O.D. had lived to compete through the 1990s when his strength was still peaking? What if the gentlest giant in strongman had been given the opportunities he deserved? More than 3 decades after his death, O.D. Wilson's story resonates through strongman culture with unique poignancy, not just because of his extraordinary strength or controversial defeat, but because his narrative combines elements that define the sport's most compelling stories: incredible physical gifts, character that transcends competition, and tragedy that cuts short unlimited potential. His powerlifting achievements alone would secure his place in strength sports history. Numbers that approached or exceeded world records, totals that placed him among the strongest humans in recorded history, and a reputation for humble excellence that earned respect from competitors and fans alike. His strongman career, brief though it was, demonstrated the complete athlete he had become. The transition from powerlifting specialist to strongman competitor showcased adaptability and intelligence that complemented his physical gifts. His ability to excel across strongman's diverse events proved that his strength was both absolute and functional. The 1990 World's Strongest Man controversy ensures his permanent place in strongman folklore. Not as a champion, but as the man who many believe was the true strongest competitor, denied victory through circumstances beyond his control. The half-point defeat becomes a cautionary tale about the importance of event selection integrity. Modern strongman fans discover his story through YouTube videos and strength forums, where debates about the 1990 competition continue generating passionate responses. New generations of fans learn about the gentle giant who was robbed of his moment of glory, keeping his memory alive decades after his death. His influence on subsequent strongman competitions may be his most important legacy. The controversy surrounding his defeat contributed to discussions about event selection, fairness, and the importance of maintaining strongman's credibility as a legitimate sport rather than entertainment spectacle. The nickname, The Nightmare, takes on different meaning in retrospect. Originally referring to his impact on competition platforms, it now evokes the nightmarish nature of his story. Extraordinary potential cut short, rightful victory denied, and death claiming him just as greatness seemed within reach. His character away from competition platforms provides the most lasting inspiration. Stories from those who knew him describe a man whose physical presence was matched by emotional gentleness, whose competitive fire was balanced by genuine humility, and whose approach to both victory and defeat reflected values that transcend athletic achievement. The strength sports community remembers him not just as an athlete, but as a person who embodied the best qualities of competitive pursuit, dedicated without being obsessive, confident without being arrogant, and powerful without being intimidating, except to those who faced him in direct competition. His training footage, preserved in grainy videos that circulate through strength sports communities, continues inspiring athletes who understand they're watching something extraordinary. The casual ease with which he moved weights that would challenge modern strongmen serves as a reminder that true strength sometimes appears in packages that defy conventional understanding. The timing of his death adds tragic dimension to his legacy. Not an aging athlete declining from his peak, but a man in his prime, preparing for what many believed would be his breakthrough seasons. The cardiovascular system that supported his extraordinary achievements ultimately couldn't sustain the mass required for his unprecedented strength. Modern strongman competitions acknowledge his influence through references and tributes that keep his memory active within the sport. Commentators mention his name when discussing controversial outcomes or exceptional deadlifting performances. His story serves as both inspiration and cautionary tale for current competitors. The debate about strongman's greatest what-if stories inevitably includes O.D. Wilson near the top of every serious discussion, not just because of his 1990 defeat, but because his death occurred precisely when his career should have reached its pinnacle. His place in strength sports history is secure, despite, or perhaps because of, the tragedy that defined his story's conclusion. The gentle giant who was too strong for his own cardiovascular system, too humble for his own promotional benefit, and too unlucky to claim the victories his performances deserved. Today, O.D. Wilson's name appears in discussions about strongman's greatest athletes despite never winning the sport's ultimate prize. His legacy transcends championship totals to encompass something more profound. The reminder that true strength reveals itself not just in what we achieve, but in how we handle both success and setback. His story provides multiple lessons for strength athletes and casual observers alike. Physical gifts without character development create impressive but ultimately hollow achievements. Conversely, character without opportunity can leave the most deserving individuals without the recognition their efforts merit. The 1990 World's Strongest Man controversy continues generating debate precisely because it represents broader questions about fairness, integrity, and the role of entertainment considerations in legitimate athletic competition. O.D.'s defeat serves as a permanent reminder that the strongest competitor doesn't always win when victory depends on factors beyond pure strength. His influence on strongman culture extends beyond his competitive achievements to the values he represented. The gentle giant who dominated through preparation rather than intimidation, who accepted defeat with the same grace he would have shown victory, and who approached both training and competition with humility that belied his extraordinary capabilities. Modern strongmen who learn his story understand they're encountering one of their sport's most important figures, despite his brief career. The man who many believe was the strongest human alive during his competitive prime, denied championship recognition through circumstances that remain controversial decades later. His powerlifting numbers, extraordinary even by contemporary standards, provide objective evidence of his claims to unprecedented strength. The totals he achieved during an era with less sophisticated training methods and nutritional understanding suggest what might have been possible with modern advantages. The cardiovascular challenges that ultimately claimed his life reflect the broader struggle faced by super heavyweight strength athletes. The pursuit of maximum strength requires mass that places enormous demands on systems designed for smaller bodies. His death serves as a sobering reminder that strength sports carry risks that extend beyond competition injuries. His memory lives on through the athletes he inspired, the debates his story generates, and the standard of excellence he established despite his brief career. Every strongman who combines extraordinary strength with genuine humility follows a path that O.D. Wilson helped establish. The gentle giant from Winter Haven, the powerlifting champion who conquered Strongman, the nightmare who was anything but frightening away from competition platforms, the uncrowned king whose rightful victory was denied through controversial circumstances. His story reminds us that athletic greatness isn't always measured in championship totals or record books. Sometimes it's found in the inspiration provided by someone who demonstrated that true strength encompasses both physical capabilities and strength of character. From the citrus groves of Florida to the powerlifting platforms where he established his reputation. From the strongman stages where he showcased complete athleticism to the tragic end that cut short unlimited potential. The journey of O.D. Wilson represents both the highest achievements and deepest tragedies that define elite athletic pursuit. In strongman circles, debates about the sport's greatest what-if stories always include his name, not just because of what he achieved, but because of what he might have accomplished with more time, better luck, and fairer circumstances. The uncrowned king, the gentle giant, the nightmare who haunts strongman's collective memory, not through fear, but through the recognition of greatness denied its proper recognition. O.D. Wilson,